My condition likes being ignored as little as I do. I must consume another artifact. And soon.
He's already consumed one today, so this is gonna hurt. I guess I'm gonna give him the Ever-Seeing Eye.
Thank you. Good gods. It hardly has any effect. Oh, Mistra, have mercy on us all. Listen, I need to speak to you, to all of you. It would be unconscionable of me to remain silent.
Go on, you're among friends.
I might just be about to remedy that. You have to know who I was. You have to know who I really am. What I am is a walking shadow of the promise I once held. I'm what one might call a wizard prodigy. And from an early age could not only control the weave, but compose it. Much like a musician or a poet. Such was my skill that it earned me the attention of the mother of magic herself. The Lady of Mysteries. The goddess Mistra. She revealed herself to me and she became my teacher. In time she became my muse. And later even my lover.
Bold. Few would dare to reduce a goddess to their muse.
I am, after all, the villain of the tale. We enjoyed each other's company. Body, mind, and soul. But even so, I desired more. You see, no matter how powerful a wizard we mortals can become, we never scratch more than the surface of the weave. Mistra keeps us in check. There are boundaries she doesn't let us cross, yet every time I was with her, I stood on the precipice, gazing into the wonders that lay beyond. I sought to cross her boundaries.
Alright. You thought you knew better than Mistra. You're more of a fool than I thought.
Quite. I tried to convince her. I pouted. I pleaded. Swore my ambition was only to serve her better. She only smiled and told me to be contented. But inconceivable as it seems to me now, I shared a bed with a goddess, and yet I wasn't satisfied. So I sought to prove myself worthy to her instead. We come now to the crux of my folly. Shall I share the story behind it, or would you rather head straight to its sordid finale?
Go ahead, share the story. Tell me all.
Very well. Here goes. Once upon a very long time ago, a mighty lord lived in a tower. A flying tower, to be precise. I'll save his history for another time, but the gist of it is that he sought to usurp the goddess of magic so that he could become a god himself. He almost managed, but not quite. His entire empire, Netheril, came crashing down around him as he turned to stone. The magic that was unleashed that day was phenomenal. Roiling like the prime chaos that outdates creation. Even the weave itself could not withstand the onslaught. It fractured, then shattered, and all magic was lost to the mortal realms, until the day Mistra returned. She restored the weave, reuniting all its scattered shards. Or so I thought. Until, in the course of my studies, I learned of a book. A Netherese tome in which a piece of the fractured weave had been sealed beyond her reach. What if, I thought, what if, after all this time, I could return this lost part of herself to the goddess?
So your grand plan was akin to emptying a cup of water in the sea. Brilliant.
I certainly thought so. Sometimes there is great strength to be found in symbolism. I was certain that this deed of raw power, draped in romance, would convince Mistra to take me by the hand and welcome me into her hitherto forbidden domains. I was mistaken. I obtained the fabled book and took it into my study. As for what happened next... Here. Place your hand over my heart. Let me show you.
You feel the tadpole quiver as you realize Gale is letting you in, into the dark. You've seen this before. The book, the black tendrils of chaos weave that lash out and overtake you. The dread is as real as the first time. The oppression just as unbearable.
How are you still alive?
Thankfully, the moment I absorbed the fragment wasn't enough to kill me outright. It was only the beginning. This Netherese blight, this orb, for lack of a better word, is balled up inside my chest. And it needs to be fed. As long as I absorb traces of the weave from potent enough sources, it remains quiet. Were it ever to fully destabilize, however.
I don't think I want to hear this, but I guess I do. You will die.
Rather worse, actually. I will erupt. I don't know the exact magnitude of the eruption, but given my studies of Netherese magic, I'd say even a fragment as small as the one I carry, it'd level a city the size of Waterdeep.
Unbelievable. Did you ever think what would happen if the tadpole got the better of you?
Every waking moment. Every dreaming moment, too. But there was no way out. All of this. It must feel like a betrayal. Say the word, and we'll part ways.
I would hear what others say first.
Gale's one of us, and we should stand by his side.
I'm in two minds. And frankly, don't care a great deal. Either decision is fine by me.
If we were to part ways, where would you go?
Once I'd step out of the protective aura of the artifact, it wouldn't be long before the Absolute overtakes me. I'd never let that happen, so I'd aim for a swift end. I would consume some midnight tears and venture as deep into the Underdark as I possibly could, till they cloud my eyes forever. With a bit of luck, I'd manage to make it to a mind flare colony so that when the orb erupts, one loud, last song of vengeance would reverberate through the dark. Wouldn't be a heroic end, but coarsely poetic enough in its justice.
I see. We've come this far together and we'll continue on together. That is how it will be.
That is a great relief. Oh, a great relief indeed. You truly are a soul that steals my own. From all my new rallied heart, I thank you. I thank you all. I understand if you stand against me. I'm humbled if you stand with me. Either way, I will do my best not to let you down. I stand at a precipice, but if you do not give up hope, neither shall I. I'll fight. I'll resist as long as I can. Now, even I am tired of the sound of my own voice. Let us venture forth.
Okay, but you haven't told me how you're gonna fix your
Goblins
problem.
aren't known for their cleanliness, but by Mistress Mantle, this place is rotten. The fewer breaths we take here, the better.
I was wondering, that condition of yours, why does it require magic?
Think of it as tribute. As long I can an eruption the size of Waterdeep, I think my exact words were.
I never realized it was so easy to cast magic.
I assure you it's not. Don't get me wrong, you did well. The somatic component, The verbal component, even the focus on the inner self that invites Mystra in. But I was still your conduit. To perform such a feat alone requires much and arduous study. Of course, as a paladin, your patron deity endows you with many such powers otherwise unattainable. I do hope you cherish that gift.
I was wondering about the mighty lord you told me about in your story.
Ah, yes. Karsus. Karsus was perhaps the most powerful wizard that ever lived. The child who would be a god, the elves called him. And he tried. With a spell of his own devising, he endeavored to usurp in one fell swoop the power of the goddess of magic. Mistral, she was called then. Imagine what it must have felt like. To be a god. To know yourself, to be untouchable. To be mistaken. As Karsus aimed his spell at her, she began to unravel. And with her, the entire weave. Too late did he realize what he had unleashed. It would have been the end of everything had not Mistral sacrificed herself. The goddess of magic is all magic. By dying, the entire weave was lost, and the spell that challenged a god failed. It was the end of Mistral, the end of Karsus, and the end of an entire civilization. As the child who would be a god was turned to stone, his empire came crashing down around him. The floating cities of Netheril were no more. An event that came to be known as Karsus's folly.
So at a moment in time, all magic was gone?
For a spell. Mistral was reborn as Mystra. Upon her return, the weave returned with her. Now, so many centuries later, I try to follow in the footsteps of Karsus. Not to destroy Mystra, but to prove my love for her. I tried to control only a fraction of the magic that was unleashed that fateful day. I merely sought to return one tiny diamond to an imperfect crown. Gale's folly, one might call it. History, repetition. It's the way things go.
If you ever feel the Nether Ease magic overtaking you, what will you do?
If it should ever come to that, if I ever know I am no longer able to stop it, I will do anything I can to ensure no one but me pays for my mistakes. I will find the remotest place on the surface of Faerun, or perhaps far below in the depths of the Underdark. I will await that death, alone. I promise I will not betray your trust. You kept me by your side despite the menace that I am. If worst comes to worst, I will be long gone before the curtain falls.